Hi, this is Jodel Morenci. I'm a senior solutions engineer over at NS1. And today we're going to walk through our managed DNS platform. So right now I'm logged into the dashboard. You'll be able to get an insight into traffic over the last 24 hours for our managed network. So it's a fully anycasted 26-pop BGP network. You'll get a good look at distribution over the last 24 hours as well. Monitor health for any probes you have inside the account. And then as I go down, I can also get a look at my usage. So the number of records, filter chains, that's what we use for any advanced traffic steering. Monitors, so we can query your individual endpoints for things like active failover and availability. And then the total number of queries that we're processing per month. If you have important records you want to keep an eye on, our resource boss list can definitely give you an insight into the QPS for the 24 hours past. And then the activity, get a quick log at this as well. So going back up to the top, if we head into the DNS section, this is where we can view all of our different zones and records inside the account. So you see here, I can search. I also have a few filtering options as well. And what I'm going to do here is go through the creating a zone process. So I just hit that purple button and I'll just need to give this zone a name. It's going to by default be on our managed DNS network. And there's a few different ways to get your zones into the platform. So you can always, of course, manually create your zones normally here. We support the importation of bind compatible zone files as well, and AXFR too. So you would simply need to whitelist our AXFR IP address. You would need to whitelist the AXFR IP of the authoritative provider, and then we can get that information synced in. So for example purposes, I'll just make a normal zone here. Gone ahead and hit save. And now I'm just going to go into my zone. I'll just search for it. So you'll notice this line here inside the zone, as well as the records, because we're able to capture zone and record level stats. So you'll be able to pull that out of the platform programmatically. Modifying your SOA information can be done really simply in this section over here, as well as enabling DNSSEC. Zone transfers, outgoing can be enabled in this section here. So we do support outgoing notifies as well. This will alert any secondary systems whenever a change is made in our platform, so they can pull a more recent copy of the zone. And then whenever a zone is created, it's going to be assigned to our name server pool. So you can see here, 4 name servers have been assigned to the zone, and you'll go ahead and insert these at your registrar when you're ready to delegate traffic to the domain. So let's go about creating the record. You can see there's already a name server record by default created for the zone. If I go up over here, you can see all of the various different record types available inside the platform. We also support HTTP redirects. Those are going to be done inside of our URL forward recording type. So I'm just going to make an A record here. I will call it steer. And then typically A records are going to be responding with an IP address. So I'll just add in a couple of IP addresses. And hit save. So now that I have my record created, I can go ahead and click into it. And you'll see that line present inside the record. So I mentioned we can take those record level stats, but what you'll really notice is this big purple button for create filter chain. So this is what will allow us to build out our advanced traffic steering profiles by essentially dragging and dropping these different filters over to the left here to build the chain. Each one of these filters are simply going to be sorting or removing the answers based off of metadata that we provide to each individual answer. So why don't we start off with a simple health checking filter here up, which is going to examine the health of my different answers. And then we'll follow that by a shuffle. The next thing I'm going to do is supply metadata for my filter. So up is going to be looking for up metadata, and I can set this as up or down, true or false, or I can actually connect it to a feed or a monitor in the platform. So I can just connect this to a monitor I already have created, and now this answer will only be manipulated according to the health of that monitor. So let's go over to the monitoring section so we can get an insight into what the monitors look like. So this is where I can create my new monitors as well as visualize some of the ones I already have. If I hit this plus button, this dialog will pop up where I can select from a variety of different protocols here that I can choose from. And essentially you're going to provide the endpoint that you're going to be querying to. Give the monitor a name. And from each region, we will query every 30 seconds, simply to make a connection. So we're trying to make a connection within 5 seconds by default, but we can have additional up conditions here. Depending on the monitoring type, these up conditions would change. So for an HTTP monitor, I may be looking for a 200 OK status code. So once you have your monitors set up, you can go ahead and tie them into your DNS answers like I've done here. But you can also take advantage of application monitoring solutions you may be already using today. So to do that, in our integration section, this is where you can set up different data sources. So if I hit this plus button here, it'll reveal some of the native integrations that are built into the platform. So any one of these will allow you to manipulate your DNS responses according to the tests done inside of these platforms. But if you're not using any one of these, this NS1 API source will simply create a webhook for you to query. And we'll just require the format to be inside of our JSON API schema. And you'll be able to post to us up, down telemetry, low telemetry, any sort of metadata that those filter chains need to manipulate the DNS response can be fed through the NS1 API data source as well. So going back to the DNS record, I have the ability to connect it to an API feed and set the up status via a feed, but I'm just going to have it statically set as up here. So now these answers are only going to be served according to the up status and then simply shuffled. And then lastly, I'll have a select first end filter. So only a single IP address is served to my user. So now that I have my record set up, if I wanted to get an insight into more administrative functions of the portal, like my activity log, I can just go up to the menu bar here. And over here, I can get a look at different changes within the platform done by my different users as well as API keys. And all this information can be programmatically scheduled and exported out of the platform using our scheduled reports function over here. So we'll allow you to dive down into different aspects of the platform. You can keep it more broad by looking at all of your QPS or go by particular zones, select your period, the frequency at which it should run, and these can run indefinitely, or you can have the report stop running at a certain date. And of course, it can be done in a variety of formats. Once your settings are configured, you simply just supply the email that you wish to receive the report, and you'll get a neat report of the desired metrics that you've selected and a neat JSON format, depending on the format you've selected, and this can be inserted into any SIEM tool of your choosing. So that covers the basic functionalities of the portal today. I hope this demo here was insightful.